Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be sitting with Jean with her incredible feature film, A Great Divide. Let's take a look at the clip. Wow, this is some good music.
I know, right? Oh, and track 7 is about a boy who likes a girl who likes him back. But she can't because she's already dating another guy who she only kind of sort of likes.
Beautiful. Jean, first I just want to say welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. You know, I've spoken to you off camera already. You're mesmerizing. You're a mesmerizing filmmaker, and I'm so glad you brought your film to us. For those that haven't seen A Great Divide, tell us a brief synopsis.
First of all, you are so kind, and you are the best moderator, I think, out of all the festivals. I know I shouldn't probably say that, but anyway.
We'll keep it a secret.
We'll keep it a secret. Yeah. Yes, it's about a Korean family that moves from San Francisco to a small town in Wyoming, and about the time after the pandemic, or right when the pandemic starts, and what they experience in xenophobia and racism and the rise of Asian hate. But I think it's even more than that. I think it's about an immigration story. It's really about an Asian American family story, and you can kind of see it from the grandmother's perspective, the parents' perspective, and in the children.
It's so multi-layered, which I love that you mentioned all those things, because it's all of those things that you mentioned and so much more. And I think that's why this film is so impactful, because the depth and the journey and the experience of generation to generation is so magical to watch on screen. You know, there's certain films where, and I felt this in your film, from the first shot and the first beat and the first piece of music, as you drew us into this landscape, I was in. Like, I mean, really, it was like you're in, and it's like you always hope to have that in a film, but you know that feeling where you're like, I'm gonna enjoy this film. I'm gonna enjoy this, and I'm just, I don't know what you did, but kudos to all your team. I mean, again, this is based upon, you know, true experience. You know, a lot of it is obviously very family, and it's very sentimental. A lot of it is some very hard truths of our reality. What was that moment for you, Jean, where you took on board this project, and how did that come about, where you went on that journey to make this film?
I distinctly remember being in Wyoming, and I looked out into the landscape, and it was the rise of Asian hate. I saw the video of an old elderly grandmother being thrown to the ground, and I was just flabbergasted. I don't even know the words. I thought, how could this be happening now, in this day and time? And so from there, I really felt, I know this sounds kind of strange, the land of Wyoming speak to me and say, we witnessed this, that you humans do this, you know? And I thought, wow. And so normally in my culture, I would just stick my head down, work hard, and say that will pass. But this time it was different. This time I said, no, I have to do something, I have to say something. And for my community, I need to voice something. If it's to go to a protest, if it's to donate money. But this time I said the best way I can give back to my community is through the narrative. Because I really believe storytelling and telling stories is the best way for me to reach people's hearts. And to I don't know, maybe have empathy when you understand the other side, and that could bring together people rather than, that was just my way of coming at it, and I felt this is really important to me, and this is the time to do it. I
mean, you know, that journey as well that you know you had to go on, and you know, at the same time, you know, the sad reality is that, you know, the hate has always been there, and you know, and now it got risen to a surface where people truly recognized it. You know, and I think anyone that's in denial that it wasn't there before, you know, needs to look around, honestly. But the fact that it reached that moment for you in your heart where you're like, I mean, firstly, you've got beautiful gifts as a filmmaker to go and, you know, showcase that with the incredible film that you did make. there's so many layers of empathy in there, and teaching and education. And I love that, I mean, the land spoke to you, you know, the land doesn't lie, does it? You know, it's incredible. Now, obviously, you know, I love that Wyoming is a special place for you, and you made Wyoming a very special place for us on so many different levels. How did you go about, whilst you were, you know, experiencing that and navigating this family story, how did you go about creating these characters that I'm not done with? I'm in love with these characters, I want more, I need a series or something. But like, how did you go about then developing this family, these characters?
It was truly between my co-writers and Jeff Yang, who was amazing, who actually wrote the monologue for Ken Jeong. And I really brought him on because I said I wrote a lot of it with Martina, and I brought a lot of my own experiences into it. But the Asian male wasn't really a voice that I felt authentically right. So when Jeff came in and wrote that, I mean, we developed it where we really brought all our personal stories to it. And I think because of that, it brings this authenticity to it. Every single grandmother's story that he shares is from my parents, that my grandmother and my parents I shared with me. You know, the train ride, they talk about all those things of immigration and coming over is all real. Those photos that we use are really from my family.
Oh, the one when she's just sitting there looking
Yes, that's my grandmother. And so all those things, and I think all that brings this layer of authenticity to it. So every person that I've shared with, especially the Asian community, have said, oh, you know, it was personal to them. Because so many of our stories are similar.
Yeah, I mean, goodness me, it's so amazing when, you know, I'm sure your actors read the script and they're like, wow, you've given me this juicy character, this incredible depth, and this journey that they go on. How was it working with this particular cast? Because your cast across the board were A-list. Like, I was in love with them all. They all just had, everybody had moments to explore themselves and their growth. How was it in this particular film for you?
Oh my gosh, I love my cast. I mean, as a director, as we will know, it's really the writing and the cast, right?
Yeah.
And I knew from the get-go I wanted Jay Park for the mom. I knew it while I was writing it. I knew it even before. I tell her all the time. I said, I was emailing her all the time, like, I want you, I want you, I want you.
She's so special, isn't she? Like, oh.
And she has these comedic beats that I knew that she would just be perfect with Ken. Ken was our number one choice.
Yeah.
I knew that he would be incredible doing a dramatic role. And he was excited to have an opportunity to do that. So he was the number one choice that we went to. Luckily, and Mia and Emerson, we saw them in Always Be My Maybe.
So great.
I've always wanted to see them grown up more, and they have chemistry. Even everybody else, West and Marshall and Miwa, Jamie who played McNather was the hardest role actually to cast.
Really?
Yes, because who in this day and age wants to be in an independent film that's white playing a racist man? I mean, it was hard, but my casting director said the way that I saw this character was really more about him just not wanting change. And I wrote this paragraph, and when Jamie read it, he said, I want to play this man. And he was brilliant. And so every single person that came, and Seamus, everybody came with just it made it better than what we have written, and that's what you want with actors, right? So it was a gift.
And you know, I love that, you know, it's so wonderful as an actor to be challenged and take on new roles and new experiences. And you know, I mean, Ken, for example, like you could hear a pin drop in the room when he was just feeling every ounce of his, you know, human self of a character, but also just, you know, really truly relating to this experience that he was going through as well, in a way that only, you know, you can be in that experience to understand. And, you know, what I love about this, you know, I mean, again, the relationship between, you know, the grandson and grandmother, how sentimental and what a love letter you show to career for multi-generations. Was that important to you? Because you've obviously incorporated this from personal experience too.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I've been a Korean American filmmaker for decades now, and I've seen this. What's wonderful is the kind of maybe what pandemic did is it opened up the audience from the Western world to other international ways, you know, K-dramas and other things. And that was exciting for me because it's my culture. Yet I'm not Korean, I'm Korean American. And so our story is a little bit different, and yet we have this lineage back to Korea, but what our grandparents went through and immigrating here, and our journey is very specific and very personal. So when those stories with my grandmothers and the things that were passed down was really special. And it's special for us. I know at my premiere, my father and my mother was there, and they were in tears because, you know, we kind of encapsulated a part of the journey that no one that I know of has done yet to the Western, to the American at least, cinema.
Yeah. So. Absolutely, and you know, again, it's always lovely to see, you know, a trailblazer or a game changer storyteller like yourself to, you know, set ourselves a new experience in new places with, you know, the people that we live in and amongst around ourselves through this character story. I noticed one thing really last night, Jean, and that's how much everyone loves you. I felt that in the room. I felt everybody wanted to work with you, be on your set, be in your company. I think you just, obviously, you know, you are fortunate to have these amazing people, but you led the way. Making this film, taking it on that journey that you've been, going to Wyoming, developing this family, working with all these people, talking about things where you've got people in and around on set that truly relate and understand.
Yes.
How was this journey for you as a director in this particular project?
Oh, I love this question because I think it's one of my favorite parts of filmmaking. Ray, the DP, incredible.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I can't even say enough about Ray. So I don't want, he's going to be my future DP forever. No, anyway, I said the one gift I'm going to give you is, it's going to be tough. We're independent filmmaking and we don't have many days to shoot, but the one gift I'm going to give is Wyoming. And he came and the bison scene, the moose scene, things that we just, I can spend hours talking about how did we get those shots. We don't have an animal wrangler. These animals are free to roam, and how did we achieve these shots? So that's for a separate probably talk. However, Ray and I, and also Lam, who's the editor, incredible, that was on set with me. And I asked him to be on set while we were shooting because we didn't have much time to know if we got something or we did not. And every single heads of department, which I think that's one of my proudest moments when I see the credits, is I see an all Asian American cast. I see every single heads of department that is Asian, and even their counterparts and people below me. It's either a camera guy said, "Oh yeah, my sister is adopted Korean," or it was just one of those, and it became a family. And I'm not saying most crews do become a family, and sometimes they don't, but this particularly was special because I think there is something in our culture of being Asian that, food and camaraderie and the love and doing it, no one complained. We had some long hours. Not one person complained. Not one person said, no, I can't work past this at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was truly a family at the end. And so that's what I think makes filmmaking, not just the product, but just the whole element of creating it, the journey of it is just as special.
Absolutely. I think that the empathetic experience of the message and the morality that you were trying to deliver in this film as well. That's why it's so important to have people that represent and part of a community and part of a cast and a crew that truly identify with what's going on, because you're going to have a stronger experience. It's going to be more authentic and more real. And I've really, just the moments around when they were either sitting at the dinner table or in the car, there's some really, really hard moments of truth in there, because whether you've experienced it yourself or it's based upon other people's experiences, this is a truth and a reality. And I think you just pinpointed the exact experience of how that would feel as a young person, as a dad, as a father. Was it really important that you got the tone right for you to really show that authentic experience and that hurt and that pain that's so unnecessary?
Yes, the tone was the most important, I felt. And there's different ways as a filmmaker that you can have that tone. And choosing empathy as kind of the tone is sometimes harder to achieve, but it just was what was in me, and I felt that was for the story. Like you said, every heads of department, particularly in this story, to be Asian was important because they brought nuances and layers, very specific things to the table, from the hair to the makeup to everything, because of their own experiences. I can't tell you the stories that were shared with me of their journey of being Asian American and how they related to the story. So it all layers in, I believe, in creating the film.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, as a producer, I was sitting there worrying, thinking, I hope everyone was okay in Wyoming. I hope they were being good to you. Like, how was it? Because obviously you've got a relationship with Wyoming, but how was it bringing everybody there? How was that experience?
Yes, Wyoming was actually great. And I will say the one thing I felt strongly, because when you look at the Asian hate that was happening in our country recently, most of the most horrific things was actually happening in the big cities, right? It wasn't necessarily in the smaller towns. However, this wasn't, for me, Wyoming land, as I shared, spoke to me. I felt when you see this beauty, this magical land, and then you see the kind of xenophobia, hate, racism, and you butt it up against this kind of land, you really see the dichotomy. You really see the black and whiteness of it all. And I think that would have been very different if you shot it in a city, and even just the texture of a city is very different than Wyoming. And so I felt the people of Wyoming was lovely and wonderful, and we had a really amazing time there. Granted, it was so funny. One of the actors, came back to about the similar area that we were shooting in, and experienced something pretty racist, in the town. So it doesn't necessarily, I don't believe that racism and these things, activities don't happen in towns, but at least from my perspective is we're having a dialogue about it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important. And trying to bridge that gap and trying to and have hope in the new generation and the up and coming generation of how to handle these kind of things that are prevalent, not just in Asian Americans as right now in the climate of America. It seems like it's prevalent in a lot of other situations that we're in.
One of the things that, we all kind of, we were really, I felt like they were like my adopted family watching this. It was so, and you really felt for them in every single circumstance, and you're like, oh, please don't be this person that we know exists. But one of the things that I thought was there were so many subtleties that you left us in. Like you left us in to see the pain in the eyes, or that thought where you're like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And I love that you did that. I love that it wasn't panned away or cut to, or we just, stepped over it. Like, was that, it was very intentional because, my goodness, you're actors, but that was powerful when you did that. Was that something you really wanted to address, that you left us in these moments?
Yes.
For us to experience what it could feel like?
Yes, absolutely. I think even, my writer's favorite scene is that dining room scene, when they have that dialogue with his family and some of the things that were said. And my actors were brilliant because, some of the things that were said, you think, oh, do you not realize that that's kind of inappropriate and racist? And they have a really good heart in it. And so there was these moments and these kind of looks, and it's interesting. I feel that sometimes instead of pounding things over someone's head, the subtlety, which is what we live in all the time, is something that's even sometimes more powerful to say. And there were times even I purposefully, Ray and I talked, I said, I really want to stay in on the shot, or I really want to almost stay in a really extreme close-up and don't cut away. We do one shot, we don't need coverage on this. And not just for time, but I just knew purposefully, like you shared, that I wanted to be in it and be okay in that uncomfortableness, or showing a moment of sensitivity in silence with no dialogue.
Yeah, silence with no dialogue, and they all just, they just blew it out the park, didn't they? All of them, everybody did. It was incredible. This is quite a journey, this project, I love that this has got personal elements of your own grandmother and your own experiences and your own stories. And then, coming from something that was extremely hurtful and painful, and then making this beautiful cinematic masterpiece with these characters that I'm not ready to let go yet. How has that journey been for you? We're all from that very beginning to where you feel today about it?
Oh, I mean, you're so kind to say. I mean, filmmaking is so difficult, but there is something magical when you have something in your head and then you write it and then you see it come to life and you see these actors bring it to life. And especially this one, because all the stories were very personal. So it felt, I had this responsibility or burden on my shoulders, I felt, for my community. And for it to be shown, and also this burden maybe that it gets good distribution or people do have an avenue to watch it. I know when a lot of these festivals, surprisingly, when I went to kind of the South or the Midwest, Arkansas, and places in the heartland that I would never think our film would resonate with, and you wouldn't believe the generosity and kindness of the audiences that were not Asian. They came up and said, we just didn't know this was the journey for you, and we want to know more. And I want to tell my mother and my grandmother and my sister, and it just warmed my heart, because that's a dialogue I wanted to have.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of end, and I know in this world where there's so much to see and there's so much streaming, that I hope this little tiny, film has this story resonates, and it kind of can live on for people to be able to experience and share narratively of our journey, and it's heartfelt, I guess.
It is, and I think what was so nice is that it was such a beautiful pass the baton on from like a multi-generational experience, whether you're first, second, third generation, but also just from the grandparent to the next generation, that whole, you're like, you're gonna be okay, you guys are gonna be okay, and it's just what you each shared through those generations, and how important that is in community, in families, particularly if your family has come from another place, generations ago, how important to keep that fluidity, and the sharing of experience and wisdom. Like, I fell in love with this grandmother you created. It was just, my goodness, like,
He was incredible.
We should all learn from our elders.
I know.
They've lived here the longest. Now, just to kind of, finish on, obviously I love that you mentioned about people's experiences, and I'm sure I want to see so many more films that take us into different places with the world and community that we live in. And I'm just curious, because you're such a great storyteller, what is next for you, and what kind of stories are you looking to kind of continue on to make? Because you set the bar high, so.
You're so kind. Yes, I mean, I'm first very excited that we're going to be able to have our VOD release like a few days before Thanksgiving.
Oh, so we can all watch it at Thanksgiving?
Yes,
oh.
It's a holiday, so it's lovely. We have a wonderful distributor who is, their launch date is the 26th to download, amazing. And so I thought it'd be a really great film for a family, because it really is, it's PG-13. It's really a family film that anyone could watch. So that's been my primary focus, because I really want these kind of films to have, to be able to make it and to have it available for people to download and to watch and to enter into people's homes. So the next ones, I'm really being particular and reading a lot of scripts. And I think there's a lot of good stories out there. I would say, me being a woman, Asian filmmaker, I always gravitate towards stories that are probably of cultural references, even probably even Asian stories, but seeing things in a little different way. So I'm very open. I know shooting a drama, everybody tells me, you producing a drama, making a drama, and getting distribution for drama is a feat in itself, and I didn't really realize that. So I said, genre films are much easier, and I said, okay, I'll look into those things. So I'm really navigating any great story, and probably more of an indie kind of story that I'd like to do again. So.
Well, I mean, wherever you take us, Shim, we're gonna follow you. Okay, that's just so you know. And I love this is coming out. Right, you've got no excuses. Your film to watch right before Thanksgiving is A Great Divide. Just know, and actually all over the holidays, because it's it's all about people coming together and coming for all the family tribulations and tribulations that we go through. Just to kind of to close on, like, for anyone that's watching, that's seeing you and thinking, G makes it look so easy, like I can never be a filmmaker. Is there any advice for anyone, and also anyone that is also wanting to tell stories that are close to their heart, that they can identify with? Any advice that you would give to any filmmakers out there?
Sure. I mean, filmmaking is difficult, and storytelling is, so I don't want to, but I will say if it's in you, it's for me. I said we do what we do because it's just in us, and it's nothing. I can't imagine doing anything else. And the couple of maybe advice I would say, obviously, everyone say like script, work on that script. And at a certain point, I knew that our script wasn't perfect by any means. However, at a certain point, I said, I just need to go and jump in and do this. And a lot of the script is worked out in editing too. And you can do a reshoot and rework certain things, because sometimes you never know if it's quite working, even if it's on the page, as well as timing of when this film is going to come out. So having an amazing editor and DP as your two, especially when you're first doing your first film, that you feel has not only done it before, but has kind of the wanting, oh, I believe in this film, I could put in all my time and hours into this film to do it, because your first film usually in independent filmmaking is hard. But when you have those two pillars next to you, it really truly makes that journey not only easier, but they are the ones that are supporting you in ways that I feel that you can really get to the finish line.
Yes. Oh my goodness. We don't hear that very often as well. So I'm glad you gave us that take. So take that good TED Talk advice we just heard. Well, listen, Jean, it's been a pleasure, and I just want to say thank you to your entire cast, crew, everyone involved with The Great Divide, and you enrich our industry for being a filmmaker. So just thank you very much for being here.
Oh my gosh, you are the kindest.
Thank you.
Can I just take you home?
Oh my God, please. I'm like, adopt me, please. No, thank you so much. And we're super proud of you, and we're ready for the next project. But everybody watch it before Thanksgiving, okay?
Yes.
It's A Great Divide on VOD.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Jean, everybody.
Thank you.